But it's time, boys. We are ready for mock draft season to start. NBA Draft 2019 1.0 mock draft for the fast break. If this is your first time joining us for a mock draft, welcome. We are going to have these pretty much once a month. So don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on iTunes or on Blog Talk Radio. Follow us because we will have one every single month or about so. I think we've scheduled it for that. We also do a live
heat
lottery.
Up a little later, yeah.
We also do a live lottery before the lottery to have some fun with that. We also do live mottos, or live mocks. So if you are joining us for the first time, definitely stick around. And how we do it is we go in segments of 3, 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and 21 through 30. And we start off by each giving our segments first. So, Ricky, show them how it's done. Give us your 1 through 10.
Well, starting it all off, shocker, right? Number 1 overall, the Phoenix Suns get to the table, and they're like, we're going to draft Ja Morant. Goodbye. No, they're going to draft Zion Williamson. Then we've got another Dookie at number 2, the Hawks. They're going to take Cam Reddish. Then R.J. Barrett goes 3 to the Cavs. Duke. Then it gets a little interesting for me. The Bulls at 4. They're going to go Kevin Porter Jr., guard out of USC. Then the Knicks at 5. Romeo Langford, guard from Indiana. The Nets at 6 will go Nasir Little, forward from North Carolina. The Heat at 7 go Ball, the center from the Oregon Ducks. Wizards will probably trade John Wall this year, so they'll go Ja Morant, guard from Murray State, get themselves a racer. Then the Rockets at 9, DeAndre Hunter, the guard forward from Virginia. And then at number 10, the Spurs going to go international, Sekou Demboya, the forward from France.
Dave, give us your 1 through 10.
Sure thing. So number 1 to start all off, of course, it's Zion Williamson going to the Suns. The second pick, the Hawks will be taking R.J. Barrett from Duke. And the third pick, the Cavs going Cam Reddish, just wrapping up the Duke boys all in one nice bundle. With the fourth pick, I got the Bulls going Nasir Little out of UNC. The fifth pick, the Knicks going DeAndre Hunter out of Virginia. The sixth pick, Ja Morant going to the Nets. Super excited. The seventh pick, the Heat would take Bol. The eighth pick, the Wizards taking Darius Garland. The ninth pick, the Rockets taking Luguentz Dort out of Arizona State. And the 10th pick, I'm matching Ricky on the Sekou Demboya to the Spurs.
There you go. And that's Dave's 1 through 10. And let's go into mine. Before, we are using Tankathon's standings for the lottery and just for the draft order. And this is from 12
after
8.
Yeah, well, after the 7th.
After the 7th, before the 8th games. So if you're wondering why X team isn't there, that's why.
Orders change every day.
These are the times that we're doing it. And also, this is not a big board. So this is not what I think these guys are actually at, because I think my number 5 is going to be a little shocking on why that guy is not higher and in the top 3, because at number 1, I have the Phoenix Suns going with Zion Williamson. At 2, I have the Atlanta Hawks going with Cam Reddish. At 3, obviously breaking up the Duke boys, I have Bol going to the Cavs. At 4, I have the Bulls taking Ja Morant. At 5, I have a guy that, again, people thought he was going to be up higher, and I think that at time of the draft, there's a guy, I think there's guys similar to R.J. Barrett. You look at Ja Morant, Bol, there are guys that, can draw more intrigue, I think, than just plain old R.J. Barrett. So I have the Knicks going with R.J. Barrett. At 6, I have the Nets going with DeAndre Hunter. At 7, I have the Miami Heat going with Sekou Demboya from France. Then at 8, well, he's playing in France right now. I don't want to get rid of his nationality, but he is playing in the French League right now. At 8, I have the Washington Wizards going with Romeo Langford, guard out of Indiana. At 9, I have the Houston Rockets going with Darius Garland, the guard out of Vanderbilt. And 10, I have the San Antonio Spurs going with Nasir Little, the forward out of UNC. So, boys, I don't think we really need to talk too much about the number 1 overall pick, Zion Williamson. Already we've had, I think, about 6.
But is the NBA ready, Sean?
I think we've had about 6 NBA draft topics. The first one is Zion Williamson NBA ready? And then even though the other ones have not dealt with Zion Williamson in the title, he's been brought up, even in the point guards. So he's a guy that is just freakishly athletic. He transcends the game, and I think he's just too intriguing for teams not to take him. Am I wrong about that?
No, it's spot on. Like, what he can do is unmatched right now. Like, just as a physical standpoint, like that, what the shit is he?
And like you mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was in the cut or not, but any GM that goes up there would be like, if they're right now, at least, if you're not saying Zion Williamson, as soon as you get off the stage, here's your pink slip, you're fired.
Yeah. I think it would be hard not to turn around, even though I don't know if he necessarily fits with the pieces they have. again, he's just that guy that transcends that.
Just take BPA, baby.
Exactly. And if you're in that situation with your Suns, most likely will be, at least picking top 5, you need somebody who's going to be a franchise changer. And he is that guy that can do that. How do you think, though, he fits with right now DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker? Apparently there's reports that there was a physical altercation. I haven't read more into it, so that might not have been true. But I did get an ESPN report saying there was an altercation between Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. How do you think Zion fits in between those two? At least positionally, because obviously we don't know how personality-wise they will fit in.
I honestly think with DeAndre Ayton, it would be a huge plus for him because I think that Zion is going to bring some energy to the Suns if that's where he goes. And kind of those two together down low at the 4 and the 5 can kind of play off of each other. Zion likes to run. Then you get DeAndre Ayton open up. Maybe get him, like, because we were kind of talking at the Bulls game, like, you know, one of the big things about DeAndre Ayton we said is, oh, well, in the NBA, he'll be fine because he's playing against real men and he's not going to be bored out there. Well, we didn't take into like the fact that the Suns are going to lose a lot.
We did. We mentioned that.
But we didn't think it would be like, oh, he doesn't care because they're
early
losing
on
a
in
lot.
the season. Yeah.
And a big thing, too, that we've seen so far, you even said it to reporters, he hasn't had that motivation to play up, and that was one thing that the concern that we did have.
Zion will make it fun for him. Zion will make it fun for that whole team, I think.
Yeah, you hope. And hopefully, too. I mean, Devin Booker is a guy that seems to care a lot. He seems to care about winning basketball games, and something that might get a little bit disrupted in that is whoever Zion takes, Zion's the star of that team.
Yeah.
Like, I think outside of LeBron James, he might be
he's super
the biggest,
polarizing.
Yeah, he might be the biggest star on any team. So Devin Booker might get overshadowed a bit. And how would he deal with that? Even though he's probably still going to be the best player on the team, how is he going to deal with not having that limelight and that shine? Because Zion most likely will take it all away because he'll be getting highlights every single night he plays because he's just that type of player.
Yeah, no.
Don't take it away from
I know. I know. It's someone else's tagline. I know. I'm just saying.
He is the human Twitter moment.
Okay, fair enough.
The human IG story.
I like his fit though on the Suns. I think that because he has that down low presence, he can let Ayton kind of move back off the net and not extort. What's the word I'm looking for?
Explode.
Not explode. Exploit. Like with his mid range and long distance shooting. Like he has something as a center that if you're gonna force another center to play off, and you can have Zion go low and crash the boards and play defense. Like it's a nice pairing because they kind of can make up for each other.
And a lot of comments that we have seen, a lot of people are just saying he reminds me of Draymond Green plus, and something that he will be able to do is facilitate between Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. He'll be able to set high screens for Devin Booker, pop out, and then again try to facilitate and get it to DeAndre Jordan or roll the bucket and try to create lanes for DeAndre Ayton to exploit. So I think Zion, at some point, there will be a fit for him in the NBA, and you can't pass up on that talent and potential.
Absolutely agree.
Let's move to 2, though, because there is a little bit of disagreement here. The Hawks, I have them taking Cam Reddish. Ricky, you have them taking Cam Reddish. And Dave, you have them taking R.J. Barrett. So since you're the odd man out, defend the R.J. Barrett pick.
So the Hawks, what we've seen out of them this season so far, and again, it's a quarter season in, is that obviously they have a stud at point guard, but his shooting is not excellent. He has amazing court vision, though. I've honestly been impressed by the passing and the way the ball moves on that offense. But what I think they're sorely lacking and what I hope to see more out of is a secondary guy out there. Like John Collins is there too on that team. Not 2 as far as position, but 2 as far as he is number 2 as far as the guy who's going to score the ball. And I absolutely love what Trae Young does with John Collins now that we're getting him back. We've only had a couple games, but Collins has been explosive. So I'm looking for a guy who can be a secondary ball handler and who can run that offense and kind of split shares with Trae because Trae gets overwhelmed at times and his shot selection goes to shit because he feels like he's the only one who's going to create or facilitate. So giving him someone else to have the ball in their hands so he can play off ball and maybe he can set himself up for some better shots, set himself up better offense, being able to run around him. So I think RJ Barrett's ability to facilitate and run with the first team, I think that right there warrants the selection because having that number 2, I don't want to go like direct comparisons because it's not, but like think of like what Jimmy Butler can do for a team where it's like he's not your point guard, but he is more than happy to be a primary ball handler for extended periods of time, and that offense continues to run and continues to flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I worry about with RJ Barrett is, he's not a spot-up shooter.
Right.
And with Trae Young is still going to take care of most of that offense. He's still going to have a high usage rate because his ability to pass. I mean, that's one thing that has translated perfectly to the NBA, his passing ability. And you love that, Ricky, from Trae Young, from him coming out. So I tried to think, pair him with someone who's going to be able to take some of that load off, but not take the ball away from him and not be a dominant player in that offense. Because Trae Young, although the shooting isn't there yet, I think, again, he's still got the stroke. He still has the ability to hit miraculous shots. I think it's just such a high volume. Take someone else who can, again, add on to that ability. And another thing, too, is if he is playing that 2 and you are building Warriors East out there, you need a 2 who can shoot the ball like Klay Thompson or, maybe
and
not
play
like Klay
some
Thompson.
defense.
Not Klay Thompson just because Klay Thompson's one of the greatest shooters of all time.
Yeah.
But at least be someone who can be that Klay Thompson per se. Maybe that's why you go with a Cam Reddish over RJ.
Go ahead.
They did draft Herter last year or this past year.
And I was going to bring him up because
Cam Reddish is more.
He's
skilled.
Longer.
Yeah.
He's
more skilled.
Stronger.
He's a better
and
player
he's
than
a better
Kevin
player.
The thing
Not a
was,
better
I was going to
shooter.
say is kind of like the first thing when Dave was like, oh, the decision making with Trae Young, that's why I would be like RJ would be bad for that because RJ comes in, then with Trae Young, it's like, okay, you kind of got 2 alpha dogs in the same, and we see what's going on in Washington right now with 2 alphas and how that might combust in the future. That's why I'm like, you know what, RJ's good, but I'm going to go with Cam Reddish because with Kevin Herter, I was kind of comparing the 2 while you guys were talking, and it's like, yes, Herter has a better 3-point percentage per 30 technically, but it's like, so far what we've seen, I know he's young, he's a rookie, but like in 20 minutes per game, he's only scoring 6 points. You need someone out there that's going to contribute a lot better. Like Dave said, you need that second scorer. And what I've seen on Duke so far is Cam Reddish has that ability to, all right, RJ, all right, Zion, you're running the team. I'm going to go run over here, stand in the corner sometimes, or stand in these spots where RJ can then drive, kick it out, and then Cam shoots. Why can't you do the same thing with the Hawks, but except RJ Barrett, it's Trae Young?
No, I mean, you're not, like, the nice thing is none of us are wrong. And the thing is, RJ can kind of bounce over to the 3 as well. So you can have Herter out there to continue spacing. Like, I just think that the facility, I disagree with the take of 2 alpha dogs equals problems because it's not the case everywhere. Like, you're picking one of the worst run organizations with the worst coach in the NBA
I would just
and
feel,
say, problems, everybody's got problems because of that.
But I also wouldn't want it to be, and this isn't like a for sure it would happen, but I wouldn't want them to draft RJ, and then we look at it down the line like, man, ever since they drafted RJ, there was a split, and Trae Young's progression just took a dive because there was another player kind of taking that away from him. That's what I would worry about.
No, and that it's a fair concern. And to counter that, I'd like to say that if you've seen the Hawks play this year, they literally don't have anyone else who can handle the ball.
Do you even watch, bro?
I did, because literally, like, Jeremy Lin and Trae Young are the only 2 people who can ball handle on that team. Like, you need to have someone else who can dribble the ball with confidence and who can set up plays, who can facilitate. Like, they don't have that consistently out of anyone else right now.
But that's the thing is when you say facilitate, I don't think RJ can do that.
Okay.
So that's my biggest thing with RJ. And I'm not saying Cam can.
No.
But at least with their abilities, I think, RJ is a better ball handler, he's a better attacker, he's a better driver.
Yeah.
But I don't think he shows that willingness to pass as much. As Cam at least does, and Cam has shown so far because, again, he's working more on the offense.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing with that is at least work inside the offense. And Cam isn't a horrible dribbler per se. I mean, he has the ability to attack and drive.
We talked about him on the other spotlight. We haven't seen him get to kind of step up in the spotlight too often.
And I think something with RJ is he might be overexposed in ways because he is getting such a high usage at Duke right now.
Yeah.
I think that Cam alongside of Trae is a better pairing. And again, like Ricky said, if you are going to take Trae Young, you're going to pass away arguably the best player in the draft. In Luka Doncic, and take on that extra assets in the number 1 pick this year from the Mavs. You have to lean into that. You have to go into that. And I think Cam again is going to be a better pairing, at least next to Trae Young. And again, you can look in free agency to get that other ball handler, to get somebody that can work within the offense, whether that be at the 3, whether it be at the 2, and have a 2 guard that can work off of Trae Young, or have a 3 that can be a point forward, and maybe like an Evan Turner in some ways, where he's a guy that can at least lead an offense. I'm not saying it's a great signing or he's even going to be a free agent next year. But at least I'm thinking in guys that aren't like fully stars, but guys that can play the three and at least be a somewhat of a facilitator. So again, I think there's other options when it comes to getting that second facilitator outside of getting a guy for the future and getting a possible number 2 option. And I think again, RJ might be more talented than good old Cam Reddish, but I think the biggest thing with that is how is he going to fit with the pieces you already have as well. And I think the talent difference is enough to take that shot at getting RJ over Cam Reddish. If y'all disagree, it's fine. That's why we're doing this. That's why we have 3 people on this, and that's why we're opening up to comments. So let us know who you think the Hawks should take. If you disagree with any of our picks, or if you think RJ is the clear pick for the Hawks, especially you Hawks fans. But let's move to the Cavs now. I have them obviously not going with one of the Duke boys. You have them going with one of the Duke boys. So I say defend your pick. Ricky, we'll go to you first. Why RJ Barrett?
I mean, I'm honestly more curious to why you wouldn't have one of the Duke boys go. But like for me with RJ, it's one of those where I feel like Duke is going to happen right off the start. And with the Cavs, the main thing that I worry is, all right, LeBron left. You drafted Colin Sexton. You were hoping he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the main ball handler. He's going to be the start of the rebuild. And he hasn't been exactly what we've expected to where...
He's popped off lately.
Ever since JR said he'd take Trae Young over Colin Sexton.
Colin took it personally.
Colin's been better than Trae Young.
Let's see what's going on. And I'm not saying that, Trae Young's been better. But, I mean, to me, I'm not quite sold on the future of Cleveland being brought home another championship by Colin Sexton. I almost said Cam Reddish. But Colin Sexton and, RJ being that... volume scorer, volume shooter, however you want to kind of model it, I would say volume shooter. That's a guy where it's like, you know what? We're going to bring in someone who's going to take in shots, can command the game, can handle the ball, and could maybe develop into our true number 1 and be the leader of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Here's my thing with RJ, because I'm not saying, I have to defend this because Dave already had RJ off the board, and I still have RJ out there. The reason I wouldn't do that is because of what Colin Sexton has done in the past month. Since November 11th, you look at those 15 games, 33.7 minutes play per game, 16.3 shot attempts. He's shooting 46.5% from the field on 2.1 threes a game. Not a ton, but he is making 48% of them, so which is a good sign. He's taking the shots that he knows are open, and he's hitting those shots. 85% from the line. He's only going 2.3 times a game, which isn't great for someone who's mostly driving and hit up mid-rangers. But I think one thing that Colin Sexton has been able to do is at least score. He's scoring 18.2 points per game, and he's not a facilitator in any way. He's got 2.7 assists to 2.3 turnovers, so he's not a guy that is dishing the ball off. So I think one thing that they do need is a facilitator. And this high right now, you could go Ja Morant, which maybe would be a decent fit, and maybe you could see a combo. What?
Wouldn't that conflict, though, with Colin Sexton a little bit? With them both being point
not
guards, or would you put one at the
because
two?
you could just have, if guards are guards nowadays. It's not really,
I feel the overlap could be a problem because Dennis Smith Jr. Right now, Colin Sexton plays a lot similar to Dennis Smith Jr., another young player, and what we're watching with having a second guard in the mix and Luka over there is I would not want to do something similar necessarily, but Ja's more ball dominant than any of these guys. So yeah.
Well, that's why I didn't. Those concerns is why I didn't go with them.
So
I'm still saying, yeah, with Bobo. Yeah. And the reason why is because again, we think of this kid as a unicorn. Some people say don't compare him to KP because he's better than KP, or some people say don't put that in your mouth because KP was the first unicorn. But whatever you want to say,
there's others out there that are like, oh, he's similar to what Mo Bamba was with he's across of everything.
I see. Just because he's a big guy with a long wingspan doesn't mean he's Mo Bamba.
Not a straight comparison, but there are things that you need to work on with his game. He's not a complete ready.
He's not Jaren Jackson in that sense, or DeAndre Ayton. But again, we don't know what he can be. He's shown a lot of skills out on the floor that have been massively intriguing. And I think once you get to the combine and what he shows off, again, my biggest thing with him is being able to put on weight and being able to be a bigger body than what he is. Because right now he has the size, obviously, height-wise, but he does not have...
His weight's in the right range, though. It just doesn't go to the right areas.
I guess. I mean, he's still a stick.
A lot more areas.
But isn't he 230?
But for a 7
It's
footer,
got more area to spread out.
It's the arms and the legs that are scary because it's how
his arms are long.
Anytime there's a 7 footer, you're always worried about their legs. You have to go, all right, is he able to are his ankles stable? Are his knees stable? Is he someone who has like a good muscle mass around that area? Because you're going to be doing some jumping, you're going to be landing at awkward angles all the time, going for rebounds. Like those are always constant concerns. And with him, because of his weight distribution, because of his body frame, like it's one of those questions. But he does, because of that slender frame, have incredible footwork for a man of his size.
The biggest thing with him, too, is if you're comparing him and KP always was able to run a fast break and be able to be a guy who takes it from one end of the court and the other and go coast to court. And the biggest thing that we saw, I mean, he got injured on doing one of those plays. He was coming up, I think he slammed the ball home and landed awkwardly and fell down and towards ACL. I think that's one thing with Bol is, I mean, I haven't seen that ability per se, at least to take the ball from one end of the court down the other and finish. Yeah. So I think that might be a little bit of less of a concern because, you know, maybe around the basket he does get tripped up or he lands on a foot or something like that. But, you know, my biggest concern is just that weight, and I don't know if he's going to be a post player. But with Colin Sexton's ability to drive, his ability to, I think, at least to develop at some point when he has better teammates, to dish out to a guy like Bol at the top of the key, I think it's a nice pairing, at least between those two. And if we're running a heavy-centric pick and roll, and with K Love coming back...
That's what I was going to ask you. How do you like the pairing?
Well, then, think about it. Bol has shown a decent mid-range game, a decent ability to shoot from the outside. And K Love obviously has that as well. But if you're worrying about size, K Love was fantastic in his early career going down into the post. Yeah. And maybe you can put him back and you could run two high horn sets and see two high screens from both of them. And one could pop out and one could roll the bucket. And you could switch that off on plays with Colin Sexton. I think the biggest thing is, you know, you compare him and Bol. I mean, defensively, it might be a little shaky. That's K Love and Bol. But also, maybe they're not playing defense because they're still going to suck. But I think you could see the development if Colin Sexton's able to develop more as a passer and Bol's able to add on more weight and be able to be a little more aggressive, at least defensively and offensively. Yeah. I think you could see a dynamic pairing. And I think that might be, at least when it comes to June, and especially in May at the Combine, that might be too sexy to pass up.
Also, two things. The weight that Tankathon has, because they're all different, is 222.
So right in the right range.
7'2". And then the one thing I would
still be a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm. I think he's in the 230 range, but
what's 8 pounds?
8 pounds is a lot. 8 pounds is a lot on those guys. But again, during the NBA season, like guys tend to lose weight pretty heavily. So it's like you start off the season at one point, you're going to lose 10 pounds of weight just from all of the cardio.
And how much is it? And I think how much of his is actually like muscle? How much is his muscle mass? And how much is like just fat or water weight?
Yeah, no, and I'd love to see him get into a gym because like we watch young centers put on a ton of muscle mass as they grow. Like the most obvious example is Joel Embiid. Like he's someone who in college still was thick compared to Bol, but still like you watched him go from, you know, a skinny center to like an absolutely like brick shit house of muscles. So, and that's not every center, but you could see that potential.
The thing though with that is we do have a prototype for Bol, and it's his father. Yeah. And we saw his father not be able to add that muscle.
He was so tall.
Yeah, but again, he's obviously smaller than his father, at least height-wise.
So far.
And
fingers crossed.
And that was back, in the 80s and 90s where they didn't have the technology, technological advances, the dietary stuff. The conditioning wasn't, up to par as what it is today.
Are you saying that smoking cigars at halftime was not like not?
Well, we don't know if Manute was doing that or not. But again, we have more emphasis on training, being a better athlete. So maybe Bol can take that step. And if the Cavs do think they can do that, I think they might want to pair, Colin Sexton with a guy who could be a dynamic force offensively.
I think the K-Love pairing's interesting to me, and that's what stands out the most. And I would still be thinking Bol, and be like, maybe K-Love's not going to stay here forever. Because he's a guy who's injured, who, yes, he's got a long-term contract, but you could probably get something for him. If he comes back healthy, looks good, somebody would pay money for him.
100%. And also, if he's not healthy, too, it's just going to give Bol more room to grow. So then people might wonder, too, about the Tristan thing, but then I think you could just even help him out, too, by sliding him to the 4 when
TT's so night and day, though. Like, he is so inconsistent.
But even then, I'm saying, like, you don't have to play Bol at the 5, then you can put him to the 4 and at least put him into, possible, because so far he's been a decent perimeter defender. In college, I wouldn't say he's not a great defender in any means, but I think his length could give some people problems if they coach him the right way. Yep. So I think Bobo's interesting enough to take. But you have Cam Reddish going to the Cavs.
I got Cam. I got just the prototypical wing player. You're hoping for something between Otto Porter and T-Mac out there. Basically, you're just looking for a 3-and-D, someone who potentially can have the ball in his hands at some point in time. and lend some weight for their scoring game. So I just think that team, I love, like you said, like since November 11th, like Colin Sexton has exploded on the scene. He's looked much more confident, and I don't know whether it was a change in gameplay. I don't know whether it was a change mentally, but whatever it was, it's been fantastic for him and this Cavs team. I think they are sorely lacking in wing depth, and they've been taking stabs at guys left and right, and I don't think they found the future guy for the team. They found a lot of role players. So I feel like Cam kind of would cement the position out at the wing, and I would feel real good moving forward with that combo.
Well, and the thing, too, is, he has had a nice stretch in the past month, but also it's going to take guys a little bit of while to adjust to the NBA. It took him about 10 games, which isn't too bad, too.
Yeah, if he can consistently put up, like 18 points and, three assists, like 5 boards, like, yeah, I'd be okay with that,
Again,
as a rookie.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I do want him to is just be a little bit more aggressive and get to the rim a little bit more. Because in those first, 10 games, he was going like 3.5 times. Yeah. And now it's down to 2.3. I want him to drive a little bit more. And that's the biggest thing that I do want to see with Colin Sexton. But again, if he's driving a little bit more, maybe we see more passing. And then if we see more passing, then maybe that ball connection, or even the Cam Reddish or RJ Barrett connection, we'll spot up a little bit. Let's go to 4 now. We have the Chicago Bulls.
Bulls.
Ricky, you do have him going with the guard. I do as well. You have him going with Kevin Porter, though, an early riser.
Yeah, I mean, most of this, too, is I had Kevin Porter Jr. about 8th in my big board, and I was looking at it, and for the Bulls, it was either one of two things. I either want a 3 or I want a 1. And if I was looking at that, I was like, Nasir Little, I still don't know this early what to exactly think of him, because it's like, is he, when we get to June, are we going to see him as a 3? Are we going to see him as a 4? Right now, I'm not really happy with how the Tar Heels are kind of using him. It's like he's almost a second thought.
He is a bench player
in most cases, to where it's like, what are you doing with him? Because you watch his high school film, and it's like, wow, this guy's phenomenal. Like,
even
why,
in like the All-American game,
why do I not see this in college? But then it's like, oh, Romeo Langford. But I was like, you know what? I don't know if, like, with him and Zach, I don't know how they would work. And then I looked at Kevin Porter, and I went, okay, ideally, would you want to put Zach at the 3? No, but you could have Kevin Porter out there, and what we said could be maybe his ceiling of that kind of James Harden-esque of, like, yeah, he was a 2-guard, but then developed some of those 1-guard traits, can then play next to Zach LaVine, where it's he at 2, LaVine at 3, or Kevin Porter at 1 and LaVine at the 2, and then we'll figure out our 3 later on.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Kevin Porter last week too, and I'm still worried about his ability to shoot. And, it's kind of taken away a little bit on that Bulls team just because, so far Zach LaVine, and even before then, he's shown to be a good shooter from the outside. Yeah. Markkanen's obviously just a missile, accurate. Yeah. Fucking sharpshooter from the outside.
So much confidence.
Justin Holiday, if he sticks around this team, he's got the ability to shoot from the outside. And Wendell, although it hasn't shown so far in the NBA, his ability to shoot from 3, again, I think that will come in times because we saw so much from him at Duke. He is a good free throw shooter. I think if they do expand that out a little bit more and explore that, his ability to shoot 3s, then you even have another player. So if Kevin Porter's not able to become a 3-point shooter right away, it's not going to be totally damaging to that Bulls team because, he can work a little bit in the mid-range, and we've seen that with LaVine, but are they going to even look and try to explore LaVine at the 1? I mean, what is the Bulls' kind of outlook so far at that spot? Because when we even saw them yesterday, there wasn't a ton of sets where we saw Arcidiacono bringing up the ball. I mean, there wasn't a lot of sets with point guards out there.
That's also because we don't have one at this point. Like, we don't have...
But do you think that would change? Because so far we haven't seen a ton from Jim Boylan enough to see what his offense would truly be like and how much different it is from Pat Hoiberg, but... I mean, do you need a point guard right now with this Bulls team?
Eventually you do, I feel like. But it's like...
Do you feel like Chris Dunn is?
He's been injured. He's
going to be playing...
I mean, and that's why, for me, also, like... I looked at it, too, where, for me, Kevin Porter, out of the guys that I had available, if this was a big board, Romeo Langford and Ball would be probably 4 or 5. But, like... Kevin Porter, what I've seen him be able to do, let's say KD, the real KD, comes back and he's our number 1 after injury, all right, then you can draft Kevin Porter to kind of be like, when Zach needs a break, we're putting Kevin Porter out there, and it don't eventually when Kevin Porter develops, it don't matter which one's out there because we never get, the scoring never stops with Zach on or off the court.
The one
then.
thing, though, last week you had Ja Morant over Kevin Porter. What changed in that 1 week?
With me, if this is so in big board, way different than the actual the Bulls. If I was looking for a straight pure number one, I would have went with John Morant. But I'm not. I'm not looking for a straight number one. I'm looking for a guy that can maybe and like I said, with Kevin Porter.
So,
he's a 2-3, but can have that one basically, and can have that one skills.
I was asking, do you need a point guard? And you're saying yes, but then you're not really giving him a true number one.
Because
that's my thing is that I don't think they need a number one. Mm-hmm. That's why I think that was my point that I was trying to get to is that you keep saying like.
And here's the magical thing also with the differences is. Big boards, it's like, rankings.
No, I'm not asking about big boards. I'm asking you the question
but the third one of like you said in the point guard rankings. Yeah, I have Ja first because like in a point guard rankings, you're going to look at if I'm looking at that one position, who's the best at that one position? Well, in this mock draft, I'm not necessarily looking at here's a number one, this is what I need. I just, with me personally, like Kevin Porter and his all-around skills better than I would have Ja at number 4.
All right. Well, I did go Ja. I do think they do need a point guard just because what we didn't see a ton from the Bulls last night and just throughout the season is a lot of penetration from that position. We did see Arcidiacono run a ton of sets where he's off on the wing shooting threes that he's bricking on the right side of the
yeah, it's because people are leaving him wide open. Like, go ahead, take the shot.
Yeah, but I think
him.
the one thing though is when you do see Justin Holiday, at some point run that offense. He drives, he dishes out, and you see the open shots that you're getting. I think with Morant, his ability to drive, use his long wingspan, and then kick out, that's going to be something that I think could be useful to the Bulls. And one thing that people mention, though, what about the turnovers? Well, if he does start turning the ball over a little bit more, he does start having those off nights, you still do have the ability to go to Zach LaVine. You do still have the ability to go to Justin Holiday if he's still on this team. You have the ability to at least keep that flow going, and maybe you don't have a number one out there, and you just take Ja off the ball and see what he can do at least defensively and shooting the ball. I think, though, at his peak form, though, he is going to be a guy that can drive, attack the bucket, get points for you, and then open stuff up for Markin on the outside, Carter on the outside if they ever put him out there, LaVine on the outside as well. I think that's going to be, if that is your big four, I think Morant is going to be the guy that's going to be at least able to create that space that you need within the paint and open it up on the outside for your guys. And Dave, you didn't have them going with a point guard. You have them going Nasir Little.
Can I hit on your Ja real quick?
That's what I was going to ask you, though, is I made my case for Ja. Yeah. Ricky made his case for Kevin Porter. If you're the Bulls and you're going with a guard, you're going with a number one, Kevin Porter or Ja, who do you think fits better?
I'm going with Ja because worst case scenario, you end up with the quadruple struggle out there. You get the 4x10 game like Russell Westbrook put up because that's what a lot of people are saying. His game is close too. I don't agree necessarily, but like he has the ability to turn over 10 times in a game. That's just a thing. But he also facilitates. He's a one-man fucking monster for that team at Murray State. So don't get me wrong. I think that Kevin Porter Jr. and the way he's modeled his game after James Harden, and especially that step back, which is just, so dirty. But I think that having a true point guard out there for this Bulls team would be more valuable than another guy in the same vein as Zach LaVine with a worse shot but better defense. Like I'm not comfortable running out there with two combo guards, and neither one of them is truly comfortable running that offense. And I don't feel confident that they're always looking for the best shot because they're looking for their own shot first a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. At least that's the way I feel about Zach a lot. So in that case, I would lean Ja. But in my case, I'm going, y'all being disrespectful for the real KD. Like, he's hurt, but he's going to be good. Like, he had a great season last year. Mm-hmm. The development that he had when he actually got the opportunity to play meaningful minutes in a ton of games, he grew throughout the year, and I expect him to continue growing this year. His outside shot started to come back to him. He's able to penetrate.
He shot a whole 32%.
Hey, that's better than the first year. Better than the first year.
He shot a 4% difference.
Better than the first year. No, but what I'm saying is, like, he's a guy who can penetrate, who does have defenses kind of close in on him. Mm-hmm. He's got a good mid-range. He's comfortable. The confidence in his shot was there at the end of last year. So, like, I'm really excited to see him being reintroduced to this team. But I look at that team and I go, we took a gamble on Hutch last year, and we're like, all right, he's either a 3 or a depth 4 for us, depending on like the 16,000 injuries we have.
Yeah.
But I'm going with Nasir Little because I see a guy who has incredible potential. He's got a great NBA body already. He is able to play like lockdown defense when he's engaged. But his slashing game, I know when he's engaged, I asterisk the hell out of that.
But that's the thing is that with him and any player, whenever it's when he's engaged, huge red flag to me.
I know, but he's shut down top talent already. Like I was saying, like in those like All-American games or any of the stuff like coming into the college game, like he looked dominant in shutting people down. So I see a guy who's an excellent slasher, who's a really good rebounder for his size. He plays above his size, which is wonderful. So I think that because we have the stretching ability of Lauri Markkanen and Zach LaVine to keep the floor open, and Justin Holiday even, like I would go for Nasir Little in hopes that he continues to develop his shot and he keeps getting better and better, because like his free throw percentage leads me to believe that he's a very good shooter. He just hasn't spent enough time working on that three ball. So I'm buying in on the potential. I'm going for the guy with a huge physical body and who is going to be able to contribute at the next level one way or another. I think that he would fit this Bulls team excellently.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up Little's free throw shooting. I just do want to mention, like, he does have games where he's like 4 of 6, 4 of 5, 4 of 4.
Yep.
But most of them are like 2 for 2, 2 for 2, 2 for 2. He had 1 of 3. He's not going to the line a ton. But you are right. I mean, if it is...
But that's also usage in college is kind of wonky.
Yeah, because Ricky hit on that because he is coming off the bench and only playing about 20 minutes a night.
I just want to say, although he's shooting 79%, that is in limited stuff. So I'm not saying that, again, he's a bad shooter. And I know obviously he's only playing like 20 minutes a game. I'm just saying though, in what we've seen so far, it has been good.
Yep.
But it's only on, I think, like,
he's
20 something,
24.
24 attempts. So I mean, it's not a huge sample size where we could see him go to line and it could just be wanky, or it could just be off. Wonky, I was trying to say.
Yeah,
but
it's all good.
That's the one thing with that is he does have potential shooting.
I think he's a guy who's going to be better at the NBA level than we've seen out of college, because I agree with Ricky. I'm a little concerned with what his role really is in college, because he's not getting starts. He's not getting starter minutes. So I'm wondering if they're trying to hide something while he continues to develop, or if it's just they want to do their thing and he is,
Roy Williams.
He's along for the ride.
Man.
That's the thing is Roy Williams has had NBA talent before.
Yeah.
And maybe he's not seeing anything in Nasir Little to warrant starts yet, which could be concerning.
Maybe it's an earn it situation.
Or it's an earn it situation because, hey, maybe you need to prove and maybe you need to be engaged more to help this team because we are a good team. And that could even be more of a red flag. Or maybe it's something where he's like, maybe I don't want to expose them too much or expose you too much to the limelight because maybe I do want to help my team next year and keep you around because your draft stock's not going to be too high. So
I don't know
it could
if it's
be
that perfect.
I'm saying I don't want to say like this is the only I don't want to say all of the reasons he's not playing
There's
is
no
negative.
solid answer yet.
We don't know. And he could be a massive talent that Roy Williams is like, maybe we don't need to play him this year, and maybe we need to keep him around for next year. I'm saying, you got to explore all the options, because I don't want to be like, this kid sucks, Roy Williams sees it, he's not playing. Maybe it is an earn it situation, but then again, that brings up the question of engagement. We don't know the question, so you have to at least ask all of them. Maybe
that's fair.
That's the only thing that I would go with. And with Nasir Little on the board, that wouldn't be the 3 I would be taking anyways. I would look at DeAndre Hunter because he has that ability to shoot from the outside, and he has that ability to be
too.
Defense. So if you're sticking with the one, then you have Chris Dunn and you have DeAndre Hunter who can play D, and Wendell Carter who can play D, and then that way you're only covering up for LaVine pretty much defensively, even though he seemed to put a lot of effort into his defense. He's not a great defender. And Markkanen the same way. Markkanen might get blown by because he's not the quickest, but he is showing that he puts a lot of effort into D. And if you do have those 5 guys out on the floor, maybe you do see a swing in the Bulls defense. So that
Little can match up against like the bigger wings in the league, and that's what I like about him. He's got the physical body to go out there and play against.
So does Hunter, because in some ways people are comparing him to Rocco. And what we've seen so far with Rocco in Minnesota, disgusting.
Rocco is a bit more built and obviously much older at this point in his career too. So like, it's if he gets there down the line, awesome.
But size-wise, it's both 6'8" guys, and both guys with I think same wingspan.
Tankathon's got 6'7", 222 for DeAndre Hunter. Just saying.
Don't care. It doesn't matter. I think what I've seen is 6'8". It doesn't matter. He could be 9'10" on some websites. We don't know. He could be 4'3".
The thing though that I want to hit is, and this is kind of more towards the Bulls necessarily than the prospects, is me personally, and I have to use the disclaimer as a Bulls fan because that's where this is coming from. I feel like this team, we got to get. If I don't get a top 3 pick and we don't get one of the Duke boys, I'm going to be upset. I am going to be so so upset because, like, I feel like we can take any of those Duke guys and they could fit on this team. Like, winner, we got somebody to help us. But the thing that with this team, and we're going to probably talk about this a lot as the future goes on, number one, Boylen, how long is he going to be here? Yeah, he's going to be the coach next year, but we don't know if he's necessarily going to be the coach after next year. He could be, like the Tribune wrote, well, congratulations, Jim Boylen, the next ex-Bulls head coach. And number two, I have no faith in Garpax to pick the right guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but
we could
They
say...
haven't been bad in the draft.
I feel like...
Historically.
they were picking... When they had a head coach like Hoiberg, all right, we got a plan. But, like, if Boylen, they're not committed to him after next year, that's when I'm going to be worried to where it's like, how is this draft going to affect that if Boylen's not a guy that is here after next year, because we know he's going to be here next year.
The final question, though, with that is, and that's a question, for sure with Boylen, we're not sure what's going to happen. Hell, fuck, he could be fired after the season. We don't know with Garpax. But the one question, too, with the Bulls, and especially the team after this in the Knicks, a lot of cap room, especially if they decline that Jabari Parker $20 million option, which they should.
And Zach wants to recruit.
Yeah, and if you look at that KD spot, Chris Dunn, that is, the real KD.
Okay.
The real KD.
If we're looking at Chris Dunn,
We're just getting a little flush over there.
maybe they do keep him and not look at, or maybe they do draft his his replacement, because when it comes time to re-up guys, Markkanen is going to come a little bit later than Chris Dunn. Wendell Carter is going to come a little bit later than Markkanen. Chris Dunn's coming up a little bit sooner than Markkanen and Wendell Carter, his contract extension. If you do sign a guy to big money and you're trying to plan to keep Wendell Carter and Markkanen on the team, then maybe Chris Dunn does become expendable. So if your plans are to go out and get a guy that is going to be a big name, like a Kevin Durant, then you do have to plan financially for what you're going to do with these players. Yep. And I think that one thing that you could look at is if you're not sold on Chris Dunn, you don't want to give him that extension. Maybe you do look at a Ja Morant or a Kevin Porter, or the flip side. If you're not willing to sign somebody else, then you look for a replacement at the 3.
If we somehow got Kevin Durant, I wouldn't care who we drafted. That's basically how I would feel. Like,
because then if you have Kevin Durant, your expectations are to make the playoffs.
A good guy,
you better get somebody fucking good.
Obviously, if we got Kevin Durant, I'm expecting to make the playoffs and be one of the top 3 teams in the, maybe if not the top 2 team in the East, because of how weak the East is.
I think that you're going to be sorely disappointed, because when when the real KD and Bobby Portis come back, we're going to be like 7, 8, 9 range. Like, we're not going to.
We're going to do the same thing we did last year.
Yeah,
same thing we did last year.
Unfortunately, win enough games to disappoint everybody.
Here's the thing, though. If you sign Kevin Durant, you're not going to be a top 3 team. Because
in the East?
I think Kawhi's going to stay. I think the Celtics are still going to be better than you. I think that the Sixers are still going to be better than you. So you're probably going to be 4. So, I mean, even though you get Kevin Durant,
I mean, with the big 3 of Kevin Durant, Zach LaVine, and Lowry Markkanen.
Well, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to see.
60, 70 points a game right there.
What's the percentage, though? 10% that Kevin Durant signs? Maybe even a little lower?
So, because, like, he's going to get on my radar.
You'd have to share the limelight with real KD.
All right, we're talking about mock drafts. Let's go. 5th pick, New York Knicks. I have R.J. Barrett, Romeo Langford, DeAndre Hunter. I'll talk about this. R.J. Barrett, looking at him, I think he's a good player. My biggest concerns, though, are I think he needs to be a number 1 on a team to be successful. The Suns have a number 1, in my opinion, in Devin Booker. Hawks have a number 1 who I think they should at least put effort into in Trae Young. Because if you draft that guy, you trade Luka, you have to look like winners. You have to go after the guy that you picked that high in one of the best drafts of all time. You need to not look like fucking idiots. So you need to go out and you need to make Trae Young a star. Put guys next to him and around him to do that. Cam Reddish is that guy. RJ Barrett's not that guy, because he's going to take away the ability for him to grow, because he's not going to have the ball in Trae Young's hands, and that's where Trae Young's going to shine. Then you look at the Cavs. They have Colin Sexton, and even then, I don't think Colin Sexton and RJ Barrett, they're pretty much the same damn players, but just in bigger bodies. One's a 6'9" guard, and one's a 6'3" guard. One's a 6'9" forward, and one's a 6'3" guard. 2 similar games. I don't think it's going to mesh well. And maybe he is the most talented player, but then again, Bol can grow into somebody who might be someone we've never seen before, with his ability to defend, rim protect, have that crazy wingspan, and then also be a force offensively, because he has such a polished game already. Yep. Then you look at the Bulls at 4. I don't think RJ Barrett is the call there, because you look at what this team's doing, and they're trying to be modern. They're trying to be quick, fast-paced, up-tempo. And I think they already have their guy in the mold of an RJ Barrett for the modern NBA in Zach LaVine. And Zach LaVine's already under contract for 4 years, $78 million. And so far, he's been fantastic playing in that contract. And maybe you worry a little bit about injuries, but I would not take that risk. Go with your guy and try to fill out that starting lineup and not take the shot at RJ Barrett. That's where we leave the Knicks. Right now, they don't have a number one. Right now, they look at that team. You have Frank Nikitalina. So far, he's been a bust. You have Kristaps Porzingis, who might never come back with the severe injury that he suffered. You took Mitchell Robinson, but he's a guy that was late in the draft, and he's not going to be a guy that offensively is going to be developed for probably 5 to 6 years. You took Kevin Knox, and Kevin Knox so far has been struggling. You look at every other player on that team, and there's questions about who will be staying. Maybe Alonzo Trier, but Alonzo Trier at his best is a starter, and I don't think he's an all-star. So you need to go out and get a guy who is an all-star who can fill up seats in MSG. And if they're playing so much iso ball, get the best iso ball player in the draft this year. Go out and get RJ Barrett.
Well, the first thing that I was going to say to that is when you're talking about this team doesn't have a number one, exactly they know that Kevin Durant will be the new number one for the New York Knicks.
If they think that, they're fucking insane.
No, like New York they're the ones making the huge push for him. Like they're the city.
The Knicks or the city?
Both.
The front office?
The front office would be stupid not to make a big push for him.
I don't think KD. Why would KD want to sign there?
That's what he's been rumored to. I'm not in KD's head. I'm just saying.
Rumors.
Like that is their plan for the future.
You know what rumors do? They drive clicks to websites. You know what's the biggest market in the NBA?
I'm just saying,
New York.
like,
so you're gonna get a ton of clicks if you say KD to New York.
Everybody, it's kind of seeming like New York would be the one to appease him the most.
I disagree.
Well, that's a different side. I'm just saying because of what New York fans are expecting their team to do, the expectations that KD is going to be that number one. And I look at it to where, with me, everything you've said about the Knicks is right. You trying to find your water bottle?
No, I spit off camera because I didn't want to do it on camera. So
okay. I'm like, what's he doing under the desk for our audio listeners? Kind of being like a little mole over there, kind of going in. I
went under the desk.
Holes. It's weird. I'm not used to it. But what I was getting to, let's say they do add Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Also, another thing for this pick is, Dave, you mentioned this before we recorded. The Knicks are looking to stockpile assets.
Maybe.
To make a move for John Wall, maybe. Let's say they do that. Will this pick be included? I would think so, but let's, for the sake of argument, say they still have this pick. If they have John Wall, they have Kevin Durant, who am I going with? I'm going to go with a two-guard that can fit in between them, and I'm going to go Romeo Langford, a guy who can play off the ball from John Wall and Kevin Durant, but can also have a good shot from the outside and a good shot after getting passes from both Durant and John Wall.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Is you don't have RJ Barrett on your board, so I understand why you don't have him going there. Romeo Langford can't play off ball. I don't see that in his ability. He cannot shoot from the outside.
He just did it today against Louisville.
Oh, congrats, one game. I do not see his ability so far. I've seen
all these prospects are a development thing, and I see it.
And I've seen him struggle a ton.
I'm not saying he's right there and going to come in, but you can work with him, and also with what I've seen with him defensively and that ability, matching that with a coach like David Fizdale, and he can then bring those defensive attributes out so that, like, if they do get John Wall, let's say they have the pick, they have John Wall, you're not like, oh, defensive liability over here, and they're adding that defense to that team, and it's not like, oh, our two guards, a defensive liability.
You're 100% right that anything can change, because right now this is mock draft 1.0, we're doing fucking 7.
Yeah.
So, by mock draft 7, he might be sharpshooter for days. He might be able to shoot off ball.
I'm just saying, even when they're drafted, like, they're going to develop. It's not like I'm expecting him to be the perfect guy day one.
But we bring up the fact of free throw shooting, and we even heard this. This was a qualm before he came even into college. That he doesn't have the sweetest of strokes from the outside. Yep. He does have a really nice mid-range game, and people are comparing him to Kobe with at least that ability to shoot from the mid-range and attack there. But once it gets outside, and even Kobe wasn't a great three-point shooter, once he gets to the outside, like it's not the same shot. It's not the best when it comes to the NBA, and that's something that I do worry about. And I don't know if he's the best spot for a spot-up shooter. And again, maybe he can be a star. And for that idea, I like it. But if we're talking about the front office that's supposed to go get KD, but they're also trading this pick to get John Wall, there's something wrong. Because I don't think you need this high of a pick to go up and get John Wall. And if you are trading this pick for a $47 million contract for a 33-year-old point guard, you're making a mistake.
And that's why I said, for the sake of argument, let's say they keep the pick. You got John Wall and Durant. That's why I went with
Langford. But I'm saying if you are trading this pick and you're getting John Wall,
that's too high of a price. Is what you're
making a mistake. And then if you're saying, oh, this front office can go get KD, fuck no. Because if you're doing that, you are just handicapping yourself. I'm just saying that would be a dumb move if that is. I'm not saying that's your idea either, because that's something that we've heard that they're gearing up to get those assets
thrown out there
to get John Wall. I think if they do that, that is a mistake. Dave,
I feel like I'm being the responsible adult here and just going DeAndre Hunter. Like, I'm just going for the guy who's going to be a 3-and-D guy at the next level.
Who's going to work well with Fizdale.
Fizdale's there. Like, it's a plug and play going from Virginia to Fizdale. Like, I just see him. He's going to walk in the league and look like a professional. He's not going to be a detriment to the team at all. Like, I think he can walk in. He's not going to start for them most likely. They're still figuring out, like, who's going to start for them, and they're doing a rotation of DNPs right now. It's really weird what's going on with Fizdale. I think he's just trying to get a grasp on this roster. The thing that I like about him is that because he is such a plug-and-play player and his offensive game is so easy, like, I'm not worried because right now New York's offensive scheme is called ISO ball, and if you can't ISO ball, why are you on the court? So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to hope that evolves as they get a true point guard out there, because he's someone who is absolutely dangerous from the outside. And if the ball gets in his hands, I still am pretty comfortable with him. So, like, I think Hunter's just a clean fit there. I think he's one of those guys where I don't know how high his upside is, but I know where his floor is, and it's pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, he's, in ways we are throughout the Rocco comparison, but at least if we're comparing to last draft, probably in the same vein at least as Mikal Bridges, going to be a 3-and-D prototype wing.
Yeah.
Different players for sure, but at least if we're talking about guys that have been in college for a while, have been around, have similar games, played in similar conferences. I know ACC and what was Villanova in?
Villanova's the American.
Yeah, so I mean, like, at least same region, playing similar competition. I think that, again, that would probably be the best comparison, is that you're getting somebody who would last year be compared to Mikal Bridges.
The Big East. I'm thinking football compared to, because their football's D2, Big East basketball.
They have guys who have come over from the Big East, and the Big East has changed so much. But and this is a guy, DeAndre Hunter, who I do think that does have a fit in the modern NBA. And again, he's a guy that might be low ceiling but high floor.
Right.
But let's move now into the Nets, a team that still can't find their mojo. They finally get somebody, Karis LeVert, and has a terrible injury. So, Dave, we'll go to you first, because not only is this a team that you love in the Nets, it's also a boy you love in the Nets. So, was this done
it's a perfect marriage.
Was this done out of just hope and out of your needs? Because I feel like you kind of willed this.
I might have started my mock draft by putting Zion at 1 and Ja at 6. Just maybe. No, look, this is a team where they're in a situation. Yeah.
Time out. Real quick. Did you say Romeo Langford had a good shooting day?
No,
against Louisville?
Film-wise.
He was watching the film.
I was watching the film.
Oh, I thought you meant
today was not.
Yeah.
Oh, because he went 0 for 3 from 3.
Yeah.
Against
I'm just saying,
Louisville.
from the film, it looked like he had it.
I heard a little bit. I thought you said that today he had a good outing from 3. I just wanted to say.
I was saying good outing overall.
Yeah, 21 points, 6 of 11, 9 of 14 from the field. But anyways, go with your Ja Morant.
Yeah, no. Ja's good. They need a point guard. They're still searching. They think they got something special in D'Angelo Russell this year. Like, he is playing better. Obviously, since Karis has gone down, he's carrying a little bit more of the load. He and Spence basically split time as a primary ball handler for this team, and they're both coming due for contracts. So you got to expect them to go with one or the other. I don't think they re-sign both. I think the market's going to be interesting depending on how D'Angelo finishes out this season, because he's a guy who can put up, like I predicted, like 20-plus points a game, like 21 points a game, like 6 or 5 boards, 6 or 5 assists, like right in that range. And the problem with him is obviously his shot selection becomes questionable and his court vision narrows because he feels like he's most effective, or he feels like the team is most effective with the ball in his hand. So he's a guy where I'm like, maybe he could be your guy. But at the same time, I look at Ja and I'm like, that's the dude. If I'm the Nets, they're a team who's taken some shots on players, and they're about the rehab projects. And now they've got the guy who, some people have compared to like AI even, because it's just balls in his hands. It's going to be electric. His skill set lets him do a little bit of everything. He's confident out there. So I love the idea of this Nets team, who is heading in the right direction. They're loaded up with a bunch of young, talented players, and getting him the ball. Ooh.
Even though with that AI thing, I mean, he's a much better rebounder. He's bigger.
Oh my God, yeah.
Much lankier than AI. So, I don't think he'll have that ability to take over a game like AI. But
right now he's doing it against bad competition, so that's why it's like.
If he is able to do that and also add rebounding, fuck.
Right.
So
that's why I've got him so high. It's like you look at a prospect like that who can do it all, but again, the asterisk is like, who's he playing against?
Yeah.
Can it translate to the next level?
And we're not sure yet. Because,
We
again, we'll see.
We've got 2 whole games to figure out this team.
Yeah, what's the
and we hope
biggest
they
game?
make the tournament. It's Bama.
Bam. No, there's another one.
It was
Isn't
Bama, and there was one other team.
ranked
That's
game
why I was
coming up?
like, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, there's one big one that we said that's the one you got to watch out for. We'll figure it out. I think it's near Christmas time, so it's coming up soon. But Ricky, you didn't go with John Morant. You do have him coming up soon, but you did go Nasir Little. Why do you like Nasir Little the Nuts?
The reason why is because of what I've said before. I don't know right now if Nasir Little is a 3 or a 4 in the NBA. Doesn't matter. They have a ton of threes and a ton of 4s that
Auburn
are going
on
to
the
be
22nd.
Auburn, thank you.
But like you look at Damari Carroll, they got Dudley, they've got Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Kenneth Faried, Ed Davis. Basically, every single 3 and 4 except for one player is could be off the books this year. That's why I go with Nasir Little, because like you don't know if like what are their plans for Kenneth Faried. Are they going to re-sign Damari Carroll, who right now is making $15 million? And I look at
so he'll be
like,
cheaper.
I think it's the question of, where are the Nets at when Karras comes back, and if they're looking to compete or if they're looking to get another pick.
And like I
because
look
Damari
at
Carroll is that bait out there.
And from the Faried trade I was looking, they do have, I know it's not, they do have a 2019 protected first that they got from the Nuggets also. But I mean, I look at it where you have so many vacancies possibly this offseason with the 3 and the 4. Draft Nasir Little, figure out which one he's going to play, and then develop him into that, because I kind of want to take a kind of line that was from our Sun segment in the comment section and apply it to the Nets when it comes to the point guard situation. Is if you're not going to re-sign D'Angelo Russell, you're not going to re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie, you're going to find a free agent. You're just going to find a free agent point guard and sign him to a cheapie or a
How's that
minimal
worked
deal
out for the Suns and the Magic?
I mean, I'm just saying that's what you're going to do, because the Nets are not going to be a team that no matter what they do, they're not going to be competing next year. That's how I see it.
I think that saying they're not going to be competing is a strong term, because this is a team that was going to be a playoff team in the East with a healthy Karis LeVert.
They could maybe be an 7th, 8th seed, but when I say competing, like they're not going to touch the 76ers,
but
the
the
Celtics,
average
and the Raptors.
age on the team is still pre-prime. So like I look at, and you have Nasir Little on your board, so it's different. But I go to Vault and I go like, yeah, he's going to be talented, absolutely. So like if he's on the board still, take him. I'm with you. Sean?
Sorry, I was just spacing out a little bit. Not really spacing out. I was looking at other things that I thought you guys were going to talk a little bit more. I agree though with the 3 position with you, Ricky. Talking about the openings that they're going to have. I do have Nasir Little available, and the one thing that I do worry about him again is we talked about with what Dave had when it comes to when engaged and why isn't he playing right now? And I do have a lot of questions about that. And also he's 6'6", and I know we're bringing up the 4 position, and the 6'6" isn't official. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know if he's going to be exactly a 4 in the NBA. And I look at DeAndre Hunter, and I do think he does have that versatility to guard 2 through, or even then, 1 through 4, or even possibly 5 at some points. And I think that with the Nets, I do like that ability, because you brought up Dinwiddie, you brought up D'Angelo Russell.
Yep.
I do think at some point they will have a point guard that they do trust. So you do have that 1 lockdown. You'll have Karras locked down, hopefully, when he does come back at the 2. At the 4, you brought up Rodonis, Crux.
And Rondé, who is like a non-3-point shooting version. He's basically a different version of Nasir, as far as I'm concerned. Like it's a guy who doesn't have that 3 ball, but he's a great defender, and he has a ton of energy.
Yeah, and then you look at Jared Allen at the 5 as well. And they even picked up, who's the international guy they stored? Come on. He was like Luka Light that you loved.
Oh, God.
They drafted him too.
No, they traded him. That's the guy who went to the Lakers.
Who was the 3 guy? Isaac Bonga.
Yeah.
But who are the 3 guys that you were talking about last year? There was 3 guys that you said are for sure going to keep on this team. Karras, Jared Allen,
and D'Angelo.
No. Before the podcast started. Whatever.
I don't even know.
My point is that
Zana Musa probably.
That's it. Yeah. Zana Musa.
Yeah.
He's going to be, I think, probably a 4 when he does fully come out. I thought he was Luka Light.
Here.
No, I thought he was Luka Light.
He is. I guess he is.
Was it Bonga? Whatever.
But he's like giant and a shooting guard. Unfortunately, like he plays like one.
My point though is DeAndre Hunter, I do think fits in there because
Yeah.
if you keep D'Angelo, he's going to be a guy that's going to be more of a number one scorer.
Absolutely.
Karras proved that he can be a number two scorer and even a number one scorer at times. DeAndre Hunter, though, is going to bring that defense. He's going to bring that intensity. He's going to bring that ability to be a starter no matter what.
Yeah.
And you don't need him to be a star. And I think that's going to be the thing with DeAndre Hunter that does fit well because you bring in the ability of adapting a 3 or 4. I think DeAndre Hunter can do that. And when you have Ja Morant, the ability to become a star, and it's too much to pass up. Well, Ja Morant's off my board.
Yep.
And I think that necessarily you don't need a star right now in Brooklyn because there's been even names attached to them in free agency, and they're going to have a lot of cap room to attack that. So if they do attack that, maybe they get their star that way. I think though DeAndre Hunter is the safest pick, and I don't see a star necessarily that it is worth taking here. I think you play it safe because if they are going to be a playoff team, DeAndre Hunter is going to be an immediate impact player. And I liked Romeo Langford in the past, but his shine's coming off a little bit so far right now because I don't think his shooting and his scoring ability has shown so much through.
He put himself on a
Indiana.
national stage. You can just say that.
Well, not only in that one game, but just so far in general at Indiana, he hasn't really had that shine. And he did have a great game against Louisville, but that's his only one, I think. And with Darius Garland, a guy who I do think is talented, and maybe if you don't have a first-year number one, maybe you do go out and take a Darius Garland. But he has that injury, and I'm a little bit worried about that this is too high to take someone and pass up on DeAndre Hunter. And I don't think you go Sekou Doumbouya just because he might be a little bit more of a project than you should be willing on to take if you are a playoff team or you think you're going to be a playoff team. Obviously that means not collapsing the fourth quarter that the Nets have done, but I think that DeAndre Hunter is more of a for sure thing. I think it's a safer pick, and I think that's going to be a guy that is going to help your team 10 years from now. And I think this was the Mikal Bridges argument that we kept getting in last year, that there's guys behind him that might be worth taking, but go out and get the guy that's going to be a first-year starter for you. So that's why I go with the DeAndre Hunter. But let's move now to the Heat. I do have Sekou Doumbouya going to the Heat. This is a team that right now has been bad, and they have a lot of guys that they invested a lot of money into. There's been talks of them being a free agent hotspot as well. We know that Pat Riley isn't afraid to be making moves.
Yeah.
But with Sekou, I think that they have so many players that are NBA ready that they do have a starting lineup per se, and I don't think they're the team to, all right, let's draft a rookie and let's play him and push him into the starting lineup right away. We saw with Bam Adebayo, he had to work his way into the starting lineup, and so far that's worked out really well. And I think Sekou could be that guy that you take in, you put into the bench, and you see how he adapts to the Miami culture, how he adapts to Spoelstra, and how much he can grow. Because he's a guy that, again, is 6'9", has a ton of abilities right now, is still raw, and isn't that international prospect like Luka, who is balling out in EuroLeague, in the
MVP,
in the biggest stage, but he is a guy with a lot of talent that I don't think should be overlooked. And I think he is a top 10 talent. It's just how much time are you willing to put into that? I think the Heat are a team that could put that time into Sekou and try to develop him into a star that I think potentially he does have.
Yeah, I absolutely love the fit of him going there. I don't have it because I've got someone more attractive on my board, but I think Sekou would thrive there because the way that Spoelstra runs that team, and they're a very, very athletic team, and they're very hardworking guys. So I think that his fit on that team, he would probably get the most out of a system like that. But I've got Bol there.
You both do.
And Ricky's got Bol there. That's because we both are looking at the board and going, Whiteside's kind of it's kind of the problem in the room, right? We all know it. We've all acknowledged it. His contract's there, which is the problem.
Because I don't
we
think
expect him to get moved.
Yeah,
but
he's not going to decline
can't.
that $27 million.
So
he'll take it.
We're looking at the guy who can. You've got him going 3 to the Cavs for reasonable thing of this kid could be something absolutely special with potential. I think the Heat go with him because again he is the best potential left on the board for me. And that game is just dirty.
And even if you get in, I'm going to bring in Mo Bamba's name again, where even if it's like a situation where you draft him and he's not out there as the starting 5 every single day, kind of like with Mo Bamba right now with the Magic, where it's kind of seeming like a transitional period for him.
Mo Bamba's behind the best center in the East right now.
Well, that too. But you have a guy like Bam there that can kind of take that, because Hassan Whiteside to me, yeah, he's on that team, but for me, I've just kind of pushed him to the side and said, no, you're not. You're not going to be on this team. You're either going to get moved or we're just going to wait until 2019's over and it's going to be like, bye, have a good time. And he's just going to be gone. It'll be Bam and Ball that are down there.
Yeah, I
Bol.
think that it's going to be, I think it is a good fit though, because if Ball is not great defensively, Bam has proven that he can
exactly.
be
You can go 4 or 5
force.
combo with them, and I would absolutely love that.
And if they both develop into great rim protectors, then fuck, watch out. You're not scoring
First world problems
in the
there.
paint.
Yeah.
And then
the
also,
only thing, like, that team, I look at them, I'm going, Goran Dragic, like, they got to get another point guard, don't they? Like, don't
he's
they?
been fine. He's been good, though. I mean, he was an all-star last year, and I feel like he's dropped off too much.
Do you think that he's got the player option next year for $19 million? Probably going to take that. But do you think that he is going to continue? Like, he's, in his prime right now, kind of looking on the other side of 30. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. Where
He's got one more good year.
I don't know if he's trade bait.
No,
necessarily. So I think he's going to be on the team.
But do you think like he's there long term? He's going to be there for next 2020. No. Are you looking at 2020? Do you think he'll be there? Do you think he'll re-sign with this team? If he does decide to take the player option, I'm assuming he will. But
I think, and I don't think they'd be against him going away exactly because I don't think he's going to be a guy that necessarily is going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a guy that's going to.
It's very well rounded.
Age pretty gracefully.
Yep.
I think he could be a guy that transitions from a starting role to a bench role, and be a guy that runs a second unit. I think he's going to be very much like a JJ Barea, but obviously he's had a better career than JJ Barea.
Yeah.
But JJ Barea is still at 34, is still kicking ass.
JJ Barea is ridiculous this year.
And I think that Goran has a similar game where he doesn't need to be the most athletic. He's just a very smart player.
Yeah.
I think that's a guy that Spoelstra and Pat Riley do like. So I think that we could see Goran stick around a little bit.
I'd be encouraged if they went ahead and gave him another couple years.
I think the guys that are on this team too, for sure. I think after that would be Goran, Josh Richardson, although they're trying to trade him, and Bam. I think those are the 3 for sure guys that should stick around. And maybe Josh Richardson isn't, so maybe you only have 2 guys that for sure stick around.
And I wonder how many people are going to take this serious when I say it. I don't know if he'll be there in 2020. You want to know why, Dave?
Why?
Because who becomes a free agent when he does?
Whom?
George Hill. The missing piece in Milwaukee, George Hill.
Moving on.
Yeah.
So, Bull makes sense.
And Reggie Jackson.
Because just
Reggie
the upside
Jackson.
potential is just too high.
Yeah. I think that, again, he's not on my board because he already went. And that's why I think when we come to June, he's not going to be at 7.
Probably not.
I think he's going to be a little bit higher than that. But let's now move to 8. We got Romeo Langford for me, Ja Morant, and Darius Garland. So we're all going guards for the Wizards. I think that's because we all think they're going to trade one of their guards. So they need to replace
John
him.
Wall, bye. Go to New York. You're happy there, and they'll take a point guard.
Didn't you say, like, you see one report now, he's like, oh, he's already a Knick.
No, I throw the Knicks
him
out
and
there
KD.
because of that,
Just
but
time.
I think they will move him this
Remember when
season.
Jimmy Butler was going to be playing with Kyrie Irving next year?
Remember that?
I just don't
I think he
that
gets moved and then they'll go point guard.
I think it'd be stupid to take. Anyone would be stupid to take that contract.
We know.
So
I don't know.
We know.
that's why I think they're going to need to fill that 2 spot, and I think that's why they go Romeo Langford. Because, yes, he's not a spot-up shooter yet, but I think...
Romeo Langford needs work. Who do you want to put him with? Scotty Brooks.
Oh, I think he's going to be gone. I don't think he's going to be a coach next year. I think he's going to be fired.
Yeah.
And I think Romeo, at least at this point, you can't take Darius Garland because that's too much of an overlap, I think, with John Wall.
And I disagree because I think Garland has a better outside shot than John Wall does.
Yes,
I think that
how much will...
What Satoransky does out there, which is awesome because he's a 6'7". Shut up. He's a 6'7" backup guard, and that's his top. He's never going to be a starter. But, like, I see Garland as, like, that's the next guy who could be something special. And he was the number 1 point guard in this class for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think his injury is...
But how much of an overlap positionally do you see? Because I think that there's going to be a ton of overlap between those two, and I don't see that between Romeo and John Wall.
Interesting. But then you take away minutes from Bradley Beal? Or are you saying Bradley Beal's
I think
gonna
Bradley
be
Beal's 100% gone.
Oh,
They'd
okay.
be fucking
See,
stupid not to trade him.
I'm on the other side. I'm similar to Ricky, and I think that John Wall is going to be the guy who's not on the team long term. I don't know that he gets moved necessarily this year, but like I see Darius Garland as like
Either
that's
this year
their
or
bench
during
answer.
the offseason.
That's the guy who's going to get done because it sure as hell isn't Austin Rivers.
The thing is that the only reason why John Wall is sexy now is because he's worth $19 million.
Yep.
So when he gets that next,
who knows
next
if that
year
contract's going to be terrible though? That's the problem. Is you're saying it's
that
going
next year he's worth like $40 million.
Yep. I know.
That's so hard to move.
Yep.
So that's why I don't think there's any way he's not moved this year. If there's a time to trade John Wall, it's now. You cannot wait. And if he's on this team next year, he's on the team for the next 5 years. So that's why I think Beal's going to get moved because it's a much easier contract to swallow.
We'll see. I think Garland's got offensive talent written all over him.
Oh, and I agree.
I think that
he's
either
my
the
next
one
pick.
or the two, like I think he could fill both roles. I think he's a combo guard in my mind. everybody's got him mocked as a point, but like I think he can do both. That's why I think he's like the ultimate fill-in guy between Wall and Beal if they both stay, because I think that one's off the court, he can be the replacement guy for either one of them, and this team would have an excellent guy off the bench and with the potential to take over if one of them does get moved for reasons.
Well, then instead of talking about the prospects right now, what is the chance of that they're both on the team, John Wall and Bradley Beal, next year? Do you think it's high?
I think it's above 50%.
One of them's getting moved by the draft, I'll say.
Wow.
Okay, so you're on the other side.
I think that I am putting my money right now that John Wall will be moved. I'm saying by the trade deadline, but I think by the draft, one of them has to be. I kind of think of it similar to a T-Wolves situation of like, we got to move one of these guys. And they're going to move them by the draft to try to get an asset, maybe even to try to get a pick this year so that they can have a first-round pick, first-round pick.
That's why I think it's got to be Bradley Beal, because trade it now, try to get a pick where, it's a little bit lower right now, and hopefully the team just stays low, and maybe they think like, you look at the Rockets, like, I don't think the Rockets are going to be a place for Bradley Beal, but, maybe, or the Spurs or whatever, like, maybe one of those teams thinks, hey, if we add Bradley Beal, we're going to go into the playoffs, and this is not going to be a top 10 pick, but maybe it doesn't change their team too much, and they still,
Yeah, I was
give
gonna say,
you a number one protected. Bradley Beal has so much value, I think you'd be stupid not to trade him.
Yeah.
he's so good though.
Yeah, but this team's not going to be good. You think this team's going to win an NBA Finals with Bradley Beal and John Wall?
If you're blowing it up, blow it up.
Don't know.
Blow it up.
I don't know if it's being blown up. I don't know.
They're a bad team.
They're not playing well. But I think that if you put a coach in there who's competent, and you might get some productivity out of, literally one of the best backcourt duos, Otto Porter with that stupid contract, but he's such a good shooter. And he's getting closer back to his average, which is nice. And then you still got to figure out.
Fantasy team.
I know. You still got to figure out what you're going to do with Oubre out there. But, like, they've got enough pieces to be a top 5 team in the East. And then in a playoff series, anything goes because you have such talented guards. So I'm not ready to throw away the towel on this Washington team. They need a fucking center. And Dwight Howard, who can't sit down, is not the answer. But
the thing is that you might not be ready to throw in the towel, but I think the front office is.
Well, the front office is already bad. So, like,
so
do you think they're going to do the right thing and throw out the towel?
If throw in the towel, not throw out the towel.
Both. Throw it in, throw it out.
Throw it out with the bathwater.
Like, the point is, they haven't nailed down things well as a front office. We can all agree on that. So do you think they're going to now decide the right thing is to move assets and rebuild around one of these players?
Your star is screaming at the coach, "Fuck you," and John Wall screaming at Scott Brooks.
And
that
Russ
means
did the same thing.
That means the coach needs what?
And Russ did the same thing to that same coach.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna get moved. He's gonna get moved. I think he should have gotten fired like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
He should have gotten fired when he was hired. But I think the thing with that is that, I think someone needs. Are we talking about the two alphas? Like that comment was like that comment was made. No, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened in those 2 years.
Yep.
But we still talk about it because I don't think they are a great pair. They're massively talented.
Yep.
But John Wall and Bradley Beal do not work together.
All right.
So you need to trade one of them. That is my stance. You need to get rid of Scott Brooks. You need to move one of them. And if you move one of them, that means you need to take a guard. I think Bradley Beal is an easier move, and you get more value. Move him because he's not going to help your team win. So help him think that you're going to help another team win. So that's what I think the move is. I think Romeo Langford is going to be better than next to John Wall than Darius Garland, just because again you're thinking that he'll grow into a combo guard, but even at worst, he's going to be a scorer.
He wasn't exactly an assist-heavy guard when he played. Let's put it that way.
Who?
Darius Garland.
Oh, I'm talking about Romeo.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you're saying you think he'll grow into. And
no, I'm saying you're hoping he grows into a combo guard, but at worst, he's just a scorer.
Yeah.
And I think he's a bigger body guy that, again, he could play defense, and he's going to be a guy that, hopefully you think he's just going to go into cheap Bradley Beal. That's my thought. It's going to be tough to replicate that shooting from the outside, but that's my thought. Is Garland's a talented player, and I have him going next, and I'll talk about why, but I think at this juncture, you're going to get rid of Bradley Beal. You have to try to replace him with a star. I think Romeo Langford, at his best, does have star written all over him. But let's move now. You can talk about John Morant. So you think John Wall is gone, so you got to replace him with one?
He's gone. You need a point guard. John Morant's there. Go ahead and take him.
All right, let's move to 9, the Rockets. I have him going with Darius Garland. I think he's massively talented, and I think we have somewhat of the same mindset. Chris Paul's getting older. James Harden's still there. But one big thing is that Eric Gordon might not be on this team next year. And you need someone to fill in that 6 spot. And something they love to do is run 3-guard sets. Darius Garland is talented. He's injured. He might be a little bit of a risk. But when you have Chris Paul, a future Hall of Famer, James Harden, a future Hall of Famer, you could take that risk. Darius Garland's going to fit in that role of Eric Gordon. Were you wrong with? Oh, go ahead.
Well, the thing I was going to throw in there is, do you think you said Eric Gordon? Do you think he's going to get traded?
I think there's a possibility that he gets moved.
Okay.
Because, again,
I'm just asking because he's under contract for next year.
Yeah, if they're making a big play, though, they need to add something valuable. Yeah. Gordon is that person. And even then, if Eric Gordon isn't moved, maybe we see something where you just flip out the two guard sets. I think that he's such a talented player, and the way that they like their offense to roll, they're going to try to add somebody at that 3 and 4 spot through free agency, and then you look at maybe they try to bring back Trevor Ariza as well in the trade market, and then you just try to fill out that next line of guards, and you bring in a guy like Garland.
If we were at the poker table, I would see your bet, Sean, and I'm going to raise you on this one, DeAndre Hunter, and that's the main reason of, yes, they like to run those 3-guard sets, but you mentioned the magic name, Trevor Ariza.
Yeah.
He had a defense of that team. If DeAndre Hunter is there, he's a guy, guard forward, you can throw him into those 3-guard sets if Aaron Gordon is moved, and he's a guy defensively that can develop into that defense that has been lost with Trevor Ariza now being off that team.
He's not working on those 3-guard sets, brother. Yeah, because a big thing with that is all of them having the ability to handle the ball.
Exactly.
All of them being quick and being dangerous assets, and Hunter is so much slower than Gordon.
He's not going to be as quick as Gordon, but with me, mainly it was can possibly
mini
develop
Trevor
into
Ariza.
it.
You could just say
he's
it.
a three. He's a three. He's
they
more
need
of a 3
that
or a 4 than a
defense.
2.
Like you mentioned it, Chris Paul's locked down. Clint Capela's going to be there. You've got James Harden there. They need that defense that they lost when Trevor Ariza went away. And if I look, DeAndre Hunter's there for me. Plug him in. Kind of like exactly why you were like, oh, I'm going to plug him into the Nets. Or like with you, I'm going to plug him into the Knicks for that defense.
Yep.
That's what the Rockets are going to do. Hey, here's a defensive guy. We need defense. Let's go ahead and take him because we got a ton of offense.
Yeah. I mean, do they? Do they have a ton of offense?
On paper, they do.
Because they don't seem to be offensively gifted this season. And they went from one of the best teams offense to one of the worst because they lost their depth and their wings. But they also have not had healthy players the entire time. So I'm going out there, I'm same vein as Sean. Get me someone who can have the ball in his hands, who's comfortable. And Lugens Dort, like, he is a freaking monster. He's a Mack truck out there with the ball in his hands. I think he is exactly what this team could use, is a guy coming off the bench or starting when Chris Paul inevitably gets injured, James Harden inevitably gets injured. And I would be comfortable with that because his size, his speed, his aggressiveness with the ball in his hands, he's a guy who absolutely is going to get a huge push this year. And shout out to the Stevian again. Like, Ben Rubin, nice job. He did a nice article, actually was, I think, yesterday. And it was 12/6. Today is 12/8, so 2 days ago. But didn't even read it until today. It's fantastic. Like, it gives you a great overview. He's a guy who's under a lot of people's radar, but he has, and I don't want to toss out the comps, but, like, similar body style to a Victor Oladipo, to a Dwayne Wade, to a Donovan Mitchell. Like, he's a guy who has absolute stud written all over him at the 2.
Do you think, though, right now that this could be, the Dort pick could be kind of seen as maybe a reach right now? Like, do you think you got him a little bit too high? Because
I think the 10 to 15 range where a lot of people have him. So no, I'm pretty comfortable with that, and I think that he's done nothing but continue to impress me.
Here's the one thing, though, I was going to throw in a joke before Ricky jumped in with that good question. What is the way that you like to describe players?
I don't know.
Brick shit house.
Yeah,
this guy's a brick shit house. This guy is yoked. If you don't know what he looks like, I'm gonna turn around my computer so you
Ricky
see
can
this
toss a picture.
Horrible Google. No.
We're gonna do this.
Low budget quality. You can see this horrible preview of a Google image search.
That Hot Ones quality.
Yes, this is Dort. Brick shit house. This guy's got muscles. This guy
is
yoked,
as you say,
for sure. He looks like this. This was a high school picture. He looks like he's 29. He looks like he's 29 years old. This guy is a grown man.
Those are Zion pythons. Almost.
Right?
Cool it.
Cool it. Zion in high school, not Zion in college.
I'm just saying.
They're the same player. He hasn't gotten bigger.
Zion's got those pythons
thighs got
grown.
bigger.
I don't know about that. I don't think that's possible.
He grew tree trunks.
I was say he literally grew tree trunks.
But yeah, that guy's he's a brick shit house. That's the only thing I was throwing out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dort's a good pick. A little bit too high for me right now. But again, if we think of the Rockets so highly, we had them all as the second team. and obviously something's not there yet, and there has been injuries.
Yep.
So they do have the ability to take a reach. I have them going with a kind of a reach with Darius Garland, if with him being injured. You have him going with Dort in some eyes, could be a reach.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ricky's going with a player in DeAndre Hunter, who I said he's a starter. He's a guy that you could plug and play on a playoff team. So we're all thinking in the same vein, just a little bit differently positionally wise.
Yep.
But let's move finally to the Spurs. This has been the longest 1 through 10. We're
in
already
history
at an hour and a half.
Our mocks.
Well, let's go to the Spurs at 10. I have Nasir Little finally going off the board. Ricky, you have Sekou Doumbouya. And Dave, you have Sekou Doumbouya. So I'm odd man out. I threw that to Dave when we had the Hawks, and both of us going Cam Reddish, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
With Nasir Little. You guys have mentioned it so much about the 3 and the 4 position, his ability to show that potential. In high school, he has shown that potential. He has been shown to be an athletic freak. He shows that defensive ability. And maybe Pop will be that guy to light that fire, kick a spark under his ass, and maybe he will see that. Now, the biggest thing that they haven't had so far is a guy to be a lockdown player, a guy to be a consistent spark plug out there. DeRozan has been fantastic. LaMarcus Aldridge hasn't been great, and I don't think he's really shown that spark that he's had. Maybe they do look at the 5, but I think with Nasir Little, his athletic ability, maybe he brings a little bit more of a spark. He brings some youthful energy. They do have a lot of guards out there. Lonnie Walker is obviously rehabbing right now in the G League. They do have good old DeJounte Murray, who's injured.
Well, he's not even rehabbing yet.
Yeah, he's way injured. I think
I like that description.
The 3 spot right now, you have Rudy Gay there.
You do.
So I think that it's a natural possession to go with a guy who has a ton of potential. You don't necessarily need to play him right away.
Yep.
Kind of similar in the vein to Lonnie Walker, where you didn't need to play him right away. He can rehab. Obviously, that was changed a little bit with DeJounte Murray. But I think the biggest thing with Little is you're going to give him a coach that has been around for so long. You're going to give him veterans around him in DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge who can can teach him how to be a NBA pro. And
Absolutely.
if he's able to turn up that motor, if he's able to be a spark plug, if he's able to bring energy to a team, obviously there's a reason why you guys have him going 6 to the Nets or 4 to the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
The potential is there. His size is there. He's an athletic guy. And I think at this point, now you can't stop worrying about the motor. You can't stop worrying about his engagement, and you have to take the guy with this much potential, who could arguably be seen as the 4th most talented player already in this draft. At least what we've seen out of high school and even spurts in college. I think Nasir Little right now for me, 10 is a nice spot, especially
Still
going to
gotta prove
a
a lot.
professional organization in the Spurs. Now, some people might think, Kawhi because of his defensive ability, his size, his athleticism. But Kawhi in college was a professional already. I think Nasir needs to learn that just a little bit more. But I have the Spurs going with Nasir Little. But you guys have Sekou. Obviously,
I'm not sold on it, though.
International
I'm
player.
not sold on it.
Manu, Tony Parker. I mean, it screams it. Why are you not sold on it?
I'm not sold on it because, I am and I'm not. Because I am sold on it because I feel like this would be a Pop thing to do. Screw the 3-pointer. I'm going to draft someone that doesn't shoot the 3-point well. I'm not sold on it because I'm like, this
Who really
team...
does? Wait, but real quick, who does shoot the 3 well in this draft class?
That's a point I'm going to get to. Where there's not no one here that's like, yes, take this guy instead, but
PJ Washington.
am not sold on it enough.
DeAndre Hunter, kind of.
The reason why I'm not sold on it is he doesn't shoot the 3-point well, and this team needs some of that.
Does it?
I think they do because they're playing basketball, but I use air quotes because that's what Pop is saying, that basketball's dead, but they're not playing this new age basketball, and I feel like it's a Pop pick. The thing that I was looking at that's interesting, this is just Spurs draft knowledge. Did you guys know the last year the Spurs took a non-guard in the first round?
Yes.
2015. The last 3 drafts, they have taken Lonnie Walker, Derek White,
Can I guess the
DeJounte Murray.
2015 pick?
Sure, go ahead. It was 26th overall.
Oh, fuck. I don't know why I thought
He was an
did this.
international player.
Oh.
I mean, that one.
Yeah, that's 2014, Dave.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, 2015. Is Nikola, and I'm going to screw up the name, Mitlutivo?
I don't remember.
2014 was, he's
Milutinov.
now a Grizzly.
Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson was 2014. Those were the last 2 non-guards. So, and in this team, Rudy Gay, his contract is up. I don't know what they're going to do with the 4 position. I don't know if you're even thinking if Sekou's going to be a 3 or a 4.
Well, Marcus.
Yeah,
well,
but I mean...
he's technically the 5 because Paul's injured.
And that's why I'm
But
like,
they also
you know
have
what?
Jakob.
Yeah,
I
it's getting better.
I feel like it's a Pop pick, but also I feel like he can fit on this team, although I'm not sold on because I think this team needs three-point shooting to keep up with this new age of basketball and not fall behind.
I don't think he's never going to be a three-point shooter is the difference. I think that he has the potential to be a good three-point shooter, at least to the league average. So I'm comfortable with Sekou going to this team. I think that he has great body size for this team. He fits right in, and he gives them someone who can play because Rudy Gay, question mark, if they're going to pay money to bring him back.
Here's what I'm going to ask you then. Timeline, all right? This is pre-draft.
Sure.
This is levels, the bar of rawness, all right?
Yep.
Over here we have a 10, which is perfect, which is no rawness. This is Luka Doncic.
So Luka Doncic, yep.
Luka Doncic, this kid's a professional, going to drop 20 points a
His
night
rookie year, yep.
in the NBA. And then at 1, you
Frank.
have Giannis Antetokounmpo, where this guy is stick and bones. He is a guy that is...
I love the hard G.
Giannis.
I mean, at that point,
I have a massive canker sore and I cannot say anything.
To be fair, at that point in his career, pretty much a lot of people refer to him as Giannis.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all right. So we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. So because no one had a pronunciation guy back then. So
I love it.
You have rawness, Luka, no rawness, Giannis, completely raw.
Yep.
Where is Sekou on this? Is he in the middle? Is he more towards Luka? Is he more towards Giannis?
Sekou's probably like a 4 on that scale, maybe a 3.
So he's a little closer to
Giannis. He's somewhere in the Frank area.
Okay.
Like he's got parts of his game which are NBA ready.
Okay.
Like Frank, it's all about his defense, offense. He's missing, but I think that's part of the system that's totally lacking in New York. Sekou has NBA ready level talents. I just don't think he's got a complete game yet. Ricky keeps nagging on the 3-point shot. I don't think that becomes a problem. Like the Spurs had no problem playing Kyle Anderson and growing Kyle Anderson to become a better player, and he's a guy who continually throughout his career has not had a consistent 3-point shot. So I have no problem going with Sekou here because I think that Pop is the right guy to help him come right into the league and be able to produce day one. And like I still think Rudy Gay is going to get re-signed, or they're going to go after and sign like Vince Carter for like a couple $1 million because Vince Carter's never going to retire. And like he'll be an off the bench guy his rookie year because it's Pop. But he'll get like, 15, 20 minutes and he'll look pretty good. And he's gonna grow. I think in 2-3 years, like he's gonna be a quality NBA starter. I just don't think year one. But I think that fits this team's timeline. Like LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan want to be there, but you have to look in the West and be like, it ain't gonna be. It just ain't gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of questions with the Spurs because, again, maybe they even go on a hot run and they're not even in this position in the top 10.
True. LaMarcus could figure out how to play basketball again.
I think it's more likely that they're picking top 10, though. Which is going to be interesting to see San Antonio with a top 10 pick. Now, just for shits and giggles, if they get the number 1 overall pick, what is Greg Popovich coaching Zion Williamson going to be like? It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I think there's so many games where you're like, all right, what if you put Zion on the Rockets? It's going to be fun. What if you put Zion in a Bulls uniform? Going to be fun.
Hey, we lost today.
How do you put him in?
We did. We lost by 56.
And the Hawks won.
How?
Good thing we didn't go to this game and we went to yesterday's
I heard they
game.
booed. I heard the Bulls fans booed.
I could imagine. They laid it all on the court for us last night. They put on a show for us.
Yeah,
Fire Garpack signs, Fire Boylan signs. Like
no
they were
one's
all over the
bringing.
place
If you're
today.
bringing a Fire Boylan sign, you're a moron.
No, it's Fire Garpack.
It's
signs.
Fire Garpax, and it should be a banner that's flying all through Chicago. They should be flying a flag on top of the Sears Tower.
Remember when we had the effort and they paid for that like billboard for fire? Yeah. Good times in Chicago.
I've said this to Dave off the podcast. I'm going to say it on the record right now.
Final thing.
If the Bulls get Zion, I am going to buy a Zion jersey and wear it every Fast Break podcast.
I hope that doesn't happen. Let us know what you think about our 1 through 10 down in the comments below. It has been a very long segment. I am ready to take a break and get a sip
ever
of water.
for 1 through 10 has been an hour and a half. I looked it up during this segment.
It's going to be a little shorter, I think.
Okay.
Because we had that break that I fucked up on. So.
And that hour and a half was mock draft 6 last year.
Why'd you say shit?
Six.
Sean Connery.
So if we're expanding, mock draft 6, 1 through 10 is going to be 4 hours. So let us know what you think down in the comments
I'll give
below.
you in-depth profiles about what kind of foods they like to eat.
Trying to end the
Well,
fucking
no,
segment.
It went from 40 to an hour and a half, so only add an hour to it.
Let us know what you think down in the comments below. 1 through 10. I need to take a break from talking.